Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jenny McCafferty for the Michigan Golfer, and I'm here with one of the world's great golf writers, Jack Berry.
Well, thank you very much, Jenny. I appreciate that. All the lies I'll take.
Well, it's not a lie, because we want to be here today to talk about another great golf writer who just passed away this very recently, Dave Anderson. And both of you have received the PGA Lifetime Achievement in Journalism Award. So see, that makes it official.
I think they stooped down for me. Dave was a terrific person. I first met him when I was at the Free Press back in the early 70s and covering hockey, and was in New York covering a Rangers game, and met Dave, who was at the New York Journal American at that time. And so that was been a long time. And then as we both, our careers both moved up, and his really moved up. Back in the days, all the sports, all the big newspapers had a sports column, who was kind of the star of the show, who covered everything. And Dave eventually was at the New York Times, like Joe Falls was here in Detroit at the Free Press and at the News. And there was Furman Bisher in Atlanta, and down in Miami. There were just about a half dozen guys who were just, I would love to be like him. and Dave was just generous to newcomers. He was covered everything he did. The first time that I got to go to a British Open was 1972 at Muirfield, and was going to stop and see some golf courses on the way back, and Blue Lewis, who was a heavyweight boxer, he was a former convict, and when he got out of prison, he got into boxing and professional boxing, and he had a match with Muhammad Ali in Dublin, and Dave and I both went there and covered that. And the people, the fans over there, were not very kind to Blue Lewis. They booed him and they hissed him and everything else. And he put up a good fight, but Muhammad Ali, of course, was the best. And those people wanted to get to Muhammad Ali, and they climbed over. We're in a table right out, below the ring there, and they come jumping over on the table and over us and everything. I thought, whoa, how do we get out of here? And that was, yeah. Dave covered all the big fights, and covered everything major, and did it just beautifully. Made you proud to be able to know that you know him, and I am so proud that I wound up getting the PGA Lifetime Achievement in Journalism Award as he did. And Dave was just a special person.
One of the things I'm impressed with is how many sports he covered. And oh, by the way, he did win a Pulitzer Prize.
Correct. Well, he covered when you're the number one columnist. Well, you're expected to cover everything. You do the NFL and the Major League Baseball, but boxing, of course, in New York is very big. So you go for your audience. You want to please your audience too. So he was, covered all the big fights. We had back in that time. Detroit was pretty big too, with the Norrises owned Olympia, Chicago Stadium, and Madison Square Garden, and it was Friday night fights on television was always the huge attraction. And back in the days of Rocky Marciano and can't even remember all those guys now. Sugar Ray Robinson, back in the time, Tommy Hearns was Detroiter, and when I was before I started working in the newspaper business and was in high school, I'd go to some of those fights, and you didn't want to be down real close because, man, blood was spurting out all over the place when the blood and sweat and everything. It's tough. It's tough dollar for those guys.
That's a part of sports reporting that's not very glamorous. Well, one of the other things that seems to be a consistent theme about Dave Anderson is he was nice to everybody, but as a writer, he was fair, and that seems to be a little bit unusual these days.
Well, yeah. Well, these days they don't even have a major columnist at the Times or any newspaper anymore. I mean, Mitch Albom supposedly is at the Free Press, but he doesn't. He's not a daily writer the way it used to be. That was always on the front page, the front of the sports page, and prominent. But that's long gone, like so much in the newspaper business, unfortunately. But he was such a good writer. I mean, his words were magic. I mean, mine I would struggle, but his were. He was smooth. Everybody liked him. You never ever would hear anybody say a bad word about him. Some athletes say, if you were too critical, why they would have not nice things to say about you. But Dave never had that problem. He was fair. He was honest, and everybody really looked up to him.
What was his style like? I mean, was it? How can you describe what made his style notable?
It's personal. I mean, he saw that he could see the person in the body or in the athlete or whatever, and he knew how to bring that out in his writing. It wasn't just runs, hits, and errors, or 171-yard day or anything like that. He made the subject come alive so that you learned from it.
One of the things that I always liked, he every year at Thanksgiving time he'd have a certain number of sports stories to be grateful for, which was so different from the usual end of year best of.
Well, that
stands out to me.
I mean, that'd be perfect. I mean, a lot of times you struggle for like the Thanksgiving column, something like that, but that's made for you. Everything you've done all year, hey, you get to relive it again. Absolutely, yeah. If it was good then, it's even better now. It's it's kind of roasted for a while. It's kind of the baked and coming up good again.
So, did you have a chance to hang out with him?
No, I never was a hanger-outer. Not really. Not. Well, some guys were Dan Jenkins notably, but others, didn't hang around all the bars after the game or anything like that. You had to do your job, and if you had a family, you got home.
So he lived in Tenafly, New Jersey, and I'm wondering, did he have that Tenafly, New Jersey accent?
No, he did not. Actually, Dave was not any different than most Westerners. Although we do have probably a few ticks in our language too, but no, it was not an accent. It wasn't that New York. He was not a New Yorker. He was he was college educated. I think went to Holy Cross, and he was a classy guy. I mean, really, you would be, as I say, proud to know him and be working in the same field as he is, and he was getting a lot more crop out of his field than a lot of the rest of us.
Well, the two of you are contemporaries, so it's been interesting to take a look at each of the writing you do, and you both have covered lots of different fields. So let's wrap it up with something about golf. Did you see him say at the Masters?
Oh, sure, always at the Masters. Yeah. Well, that was the one place where everybody, what all the top columnists were, and well, all the top writers. I mean, I was there 43 times, and Dave would have been. He would have been in the 50s at least, and it would be fun. Of course, the Masters, says you've been there and you know how perfect it is, and it just, you feel good when you get there. I mean, the place to go outside, to walk around there, and everybody. It's like, say, gentlemanly or something other. The patrons are different than what they, the screaming folks that they have at other sports events. And it was just, at that time, in the big lunch area, everybody could sit around and talk. We had our big... Our big awards dinner was the night before on Wednesday nights, and so everybody would be together for that. So that was I miss that. I mean, there was nothing better to cover than the Masters tournament.
I think Augusta National Golf Club knows how to treat the media.
Very much so. As you may know, that I received, after 40 Masters, I received a parking space with my name on it, the front row of the media lot. So
a perfect example of how the media are treated the way you should be.
They do it better than anybody. Everything that they do is better than anybody else.
Well, Dave Anderson was one of those writers who was almost better than anybody else. Is that fair?
He was. he was. Thank you, Jenny.